Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And in this session, I'm going to discuss and share with you the top 10 mistakes people make in looking for a job. Boy, this comes up on a daily basis here in our organization. And individuals that go to look for a job aren't aware of the mistakes they make. So the first mistake that most people make is they do not condition themselves for the difficult task of looking for a job. We've said this before, but next to death of a spouse, death of a parent, death of a child, coupled with divorce, the fourth most emotional thing we do is look for a job. People do not condition themselves for looking for a job. They don't adopt the attitude that it's a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365 day a year job of looking for a job. And they don't adopt the attitude of failure is not an option. They operate with a lot of inertia. They don't really know how to go about doing what they need to do, and they're fearful. The second big mistake they make is that they don't develop a system of looking for a job. They don't write goals. They don't have plans. They don't realize that this is a numbers game, that it's a matter of just talking to enough people and getting out there in front of people, that it is strictly a numbers game. They get too selective in their interviewing process, and they don't realize that this is a numbers game. And you've got to develop goals and plans like you would any other project that you were developing, and develop a systematic approach to it, a systematic time of what you do every day, how you do it every day, a systematic approach towards your interviews, a systematic approach towards everything that you do, recognizing that this is a process. And as John Wooden would say, if you focus on the process, you don't have to worry about the result. Nick Saban's adopted the same kind of thing. Most good coaches adopt the idea that if you focus on the process, you don't have to worry about the result. The results are going to take care of themselves if you focus on doing the process the right way. If you go out and you interview, you get interviews, and you focus on doing well on the interviews, whether you get hired or not isn't as important as focusing on the process and making sure you do a good job of it. Most people have unrealistic ideas of what the market will bear for them. They think that because they've just been phenomenally successful before, they're going to be phenomenally successful again. I just interviewed a fellow yesterday that has been out of work for 9 months because he thought, man, these jobs have always come easy to me before, and now it's just really hard to do. I can't believe this is so hard. So the best thing to do is, no matter how often you've changed jobs, you need to talk to people like me to find out what's the market for this kind of thing. Where might I be able to go with it? Just because you found a job easily before, you may be making more money than what the market will bear. So you've got to be very concerned about having a realistic idea of what the market will bear and how easy it's going to be to find a job. The next mistake that people make is they don't acknowledge the emotional strain of looking for a job. Every time I get a candidate that says, looking for a job's no big deal, I'm not going to have a problem doing it, and I'm not emotional about it at all, I worry about them. This is going to be an emotional challenge, and you better recognize it and acknowledge it. Remember that 95% of the companies out there are under 100 employees, and you're going to have to talk to a lot of people. Next mistake that people make is they forget that face-to-face interviews are the only thing that really counts. Anything that results in or doesn't result in getting a face-to-face interview is not worth your time. The further away you get from an activity that's going to get you a face-to-face interview, the less value the activity is. Face-to-face interviews are the only thing that matters, because that's the way you're going to get hired. The next mistake people make is they don't prepare for the interviews. They don't prepare themselves for what they have to sell. They don't sell themselves very well. They don't know what they're selling. I'm a good employee. I'm a good employee. I've always been a good employee. I'm a good employee. And they don't know why they're a good employee. Hey, this is going to be a contentious situation. You are going to be competing with a lot of different people, and you better know why you're a good candidate. And it can't be just, well, I'm a good employee. You got to prepare to tell people why you're a good employee, what you've done before, and how well you've done it. People don't adopt an approach of selling themselves. They don't realize that they have to sell themselves. Their attitude oftentimes is, man, a company would be so lucky to get me. Well, that's what every other candidate might be thinking, but you can't do that. You've got to sell yourself as to why you are a good employee and what you can do for them that the others can't. The next mistake is that people often communicate an idea of what can you do for me instead of communicating, this is what I can do for you. Trust me, if you communicate enough good reasons of why somebody ought to hire you, they're going to give you plenty of good reasons of why you ought to go to work there. Don't worry about the reasons of why you ought to go to work there. If you give them reasons of why you ought to get hired, you won't have any problem at all. And you do that with everybody. And then the last mistake that people make is they give very poor reasons for leaving their last job. They throw their previous employers under the bus. They just leave for ridiculous reasons. Well, it just didn't work out. Well, it was time for me to go. Well, we had a mutual understanding, and don't elaborate. You've got to have really good reasons for leaving the job that you've got. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solution.